Hello, everyone. So I know I am on super late. Probably missed a lot of you guys. I do apologize. I did not realize that the State of the Union was tonight, and I really wanted to watch that. So jumping on really late, and because of that, I am not doing individual readings, which might be good for those of you watching replay, because really I'm kind of just making this mini live night video where I'm talking about what's going on, how I've been dealing with it, and also kind of just giving intuitive advice to the group on all of that. I've already pulled cards. I'm already just like amazingly impressed with the cards that I've pulled. So I will get into that. And I'll do kind of like a group reading for everybody, but just to give you like an overview in case you're not curious for watching tonight's stream, I'm basically just going to chat about the things that have been going on in the world, especially in relation to empaths and setting our boundaries. I am on live. I'm very late. I apologize. Again, I was watching the State of the Union, and I did not realize here in the U.S. That was tonight, and I was like, oh, shoot, and I really wanted to catch it. I didn't even finish it. I stopped and I came out here because I was like, I just need to get on live. But yeah, mostly tonight, I just kind of wanted to talk about, again, setting energetic boundaries with kind of everything that's going on in the world, which is extremely hard to do. And I am definitely a hypocrite in this situation, and I have not been doing so well myself. But I'm definitely going to be giving my advice that I have kind of as like a psychic development coach, just setting boundaries with other people and other spirits has kind of made me good at setting boundaries with other things in my life. So I'm going to pass off some of that information. Again, I'm also going to be pulling cards and kind of getting information from spirit as well, so that, you know, we're getting their advice. And then just wanted to talk about some other topics, specifically like indigo children, and hopefully be just a little bit of hope for you tonight if you've been feeling like you've been lacking that. And just to kind of start the idea behind this tonight's stream, I was thinking originally about doing readings tonight, but I am just kind of not feeling up to it, to be honest. And I think I've just been, again, like I said, way too into the news, paying attention way too much. But I'm kind of also not beating myself up for that, because I do think what's happening in the world is very important. And it's very important that we understand what's going on. And I'll get to, again, setting those boundaries here in a second. But I've definitely been staying up later than I should because I'm looking at news and just kind of not taking as good care of myself. And I'm trying to kind of save my energy for my paid private readings that I have this week. So I hope you all can understand. I'm sorry, especially if some of you guys were hoping to come on and chat with me. Do know that you can book a private reading with me at any time. Hey, Amberlynn. I've been really focused on setting boundaries. Yay! I'm so glad. Hi, Heidi. And so that's kind of where I've been at. And it's been very interesting to me, and you guys will have to tell me if you're the same, but I feel like with my boundaries with other people, like when I go into like Walmart or just like a space with lots of people, you know, just like a good sized group of people, or even like a concert, I feel like those don't tend to overwhelm me very much. I feel like I have pretty good boundaries and I'm not taking on everybody's stuff. But there's something about when things are going on globally that I just feel like it is so much harder for me to shut those off. I feel like, and maybe it's just Pisces season, but I just feel like I can feel the energy of everybody around the world a lot more. So tell me if you guys are at all the same. I feel like some people are almost on the opposite scale. Sometimes they get way more overwhelmed by being around individual or small groups of people, or they can just get extremely overwhelmed even by going into a store and just feeling everybody's stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like my threshold is kind of like a lot more, I would say. And maybe that's because I came from a place of, you know, not being super intuitive to start out with, and kind of having to learn how to do that. But yeah, it's been very interesting to me. And I've realized every time we've had kind of like a big, I don't want to say like crisis, but anytime there's something where the whole world is involved, I feel like I can feel everyone's stuff a lot more than if it's just like on a smaller scale. And when I say that out loud, it kind of makes sense. There's more people involved, there's more emotions. And so I feel like I've been having that a lot. Hello, Tammy, welcome. I feed off people's energy crazy in general, or blah, blah, blah. I feed off people's energy in general, but here recently it's been crazy. I'm trying to process. This is why I'm not reading tonight. Yeah, and that's kind of where I've been. And I will say that part of this has made me an even more firm kind of believer in astrology, not putting that on anyone. You know, you believe in what you want to believe in. But last week was America's Pluto return. And a Pluto return is basically when Pluto returns to the same place that it was when something was born. And so America was born literally, I think it's like a really weird number. It's like 256 years ago or something like that. And it was basically when America was formed, when the Declaration of Independence was signed. That was the last time that Pluto was in this exact position. And so that happened last week when all of this started. Now, so it's a little bit different because I don't think anything happened here in America. It's all obviously Ukraine and Russia and kind of over there. So it's interesting how it panned out. But point being, a lot of astrologers were really concerned about this date for like, I've been hearing about it for like months, and I didn't want to bring it up because I kind of was like, I'm hoping that they're wrong. I'm hoping nothing happens. But Pluto is basically the planet of death and rebirth. And so it makes sense. The last time it was here, the US was born as a country. And then literally last week, all this crazy shenanigans happened. And even though it's not in America, I would say it's pretty predictive because this is such a huge event. This is not just like a small little thing, you know? But I just feel like I'm crazy more like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to have to look a little bit more into astrology because the prediction of what was supposed to happen is crazy, like on point. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but if you're interested in more of that, I don't know. I listen to Chloe Taylor mostly, but she gets her information from other people. But basically, yeah, the Pluto return is here. And I will say this, if you are like paying attention to that stuff, the one piece of advice that I would give is just knowing that the worst of it is over. And the interesting thing about the Pluto return as well is that it's not something where it was only going to happen on that date and then it was like done. It's kind of like as a planet moves into a position, usually a little bit of time before and a little time after, you still feel the effects of it. So it makes sense when we're talking about a transit that takes 250 some years, that, you know, a couple years before and after might, you know, feel those effects a little bit. And so I think that absolutely makes sense with the pandemic and, you know, every past 2 years. But try to have hope. I do feel like the one thing that I have been getting a lot from my guides is understanding that we are going through a lot right now, but I do believe that it's going to get better. It might take another year, maybe another 2 years, but I have actually been getting kind of consistent messages through my guides, at least for me personally, that this is going to be the worst of it. I feel like here on for the rest of our lives, we will look back at this being the worst part, and everything really is only going to go up because that's the only way it can go at this point. And so again, I don't think I said it, but I hope that tonight is a little bit of me passing on hope, because it's interesting how when these kind of global events kind of happen, how much I am in tune with my guides. I feel like they're speaking to me. I feel like they're nudging me to do these lives. I feel like they're nudging me to like put information out there. And it triggers me because I feel like okay, here's this white chick coming on and being like, I know everything. And, I don't want to come across as that. But at the same time, I have these abilities. I'm connected to what I believe are spiritual beings for our highest and best good. And I do believe that maybe even if it's just one person is supposed to hear the messages that I'm supposed to pass along tonight. But my guides have been nonstop bothering me ever since this happened. Like, I was almost not going to go live tonight, and they were like, you got to get out, you got to say these things because some people need to hear them, some people don't know about it, or just don't have the information or the tools for how to deal with it. So I'm going to pause really quick. I'm just blabbing. But your eye opened a bit yesterday when I hit the 6-month mark. Woohoo! That's awesome. They're so cute. I think it's also interesting that it's in the U.S.'s second house of finances, going to affect the economy a lot. Yes, and I mean, I have my own opinions of how I think this is going to go. And I kind of feel like, if anything, the whole thing with the Pluto return is that we were supposed to, well, I'll get into this a little bit with the Indigo Children talk that I'm about to mention, but I do feel like all of these things, it's kind of like a Mercury retrograde. The last couple of years, everything has just been like thrown out. It's kind of like the Tower card. It's almost like the foundation is being torn out from under us because it's no longer working. And although it's crazy and scary in the moment, that's the whole thing, is you're rebuilding better. And part of the reason why I wanted to watch the State of the Union was I definitely felt like it gave me a little bit of hope. They were talking about some of the things that they're planning on doing. And, one of the things we talk about a lot is climate change. And, one of the upsides to this whole thing with Russia is that, we're going to be pushing renewable energy more because we're so reliant on, so many or so few people to basically provide us with fossil fuel energy, blah, blah, blah. I'll get off my high horse. But I do think that we will look back at this time in our lives and be like, wow, that was the time where we all brought it up and it was laid out on the table and we had to fix it. So what else was I going to say? I took all these like as notes as I'm like talking to my guides. But I think the only thing, the last thing I wanted to say about that was just my purpose here tonight. And again, it's important for me to just kind of like pass this along because I feel like it's important to. Oh, and the one thing that I wanted to say that I don't think I've ever talked about in my videos, and I've been addressing this more in kind of like my podcasts, is just some of the blocks that I got when I was learning how to be psychic. And that's, it's a totally normal thing, but like even my teachers, my mentors put things in my head that I kind of had to remove. Like, for example, let's see, when I first started in the Aspen program, my mentor is not a very like religious person. She had a very traumatic experience with like Christianity, Catholicism, all of that. And so she did not believe in angels. She was very like, not against angels, but she just like didn't talk about them very much, didn't really, refer to them. And so when I kind of learned, I kind of had that little bias of, angel work was kind of removed from that teaching. She would still bring it up and give it credit, but I kind of adopted a little bit of that bias. And I think a few years after I started reading, I started to see angels more, and I realized I was blocking them out because I was kind of adopting, again, my mentor's approach. And I was like, you know what, that's her stuff. I need to allow the spirits that are coming through to come through how they're supposed to be. So that's an example, but kind of in relation to tonight, I would say within the psychic community, there are two types of psychics when it comes to the types of readings that they do. And I feel like obviously there's several different types, and actually plugging it here, that is the video for this week. I'm going to be talking about all the different types of psychics out there. But when it comes to like psychics, people who are reading past, present, future, I find that there's two groups. There's the people who will read individuals, and then there are the people that will read group energy. And so at a lot of times at metaphysical stores, you will see events where literally for a straight hour, a psychic will come in and predict the year ahead. And there will be a group of people that show up just to hear what this psychic has to say. And I've been to 2 of them. I went to one that my mentor did because I was curious and I was learning and I wanted to see what she was doing. And she did a fantastic job of like predicting that year. She also threw out some like individual messages. Another person that I saw that like my mother-in-law dragged me to, not the best psychic, basically stood in the corner of the room and like read off of notes and also predicted whatever year that was. And I didn't verify if it was good or not. But point being, there's kind of a stigma around psychics that read into future or global events. And because of that, a lot of psychics will say, hey, I don't look into global stuff. I don't do pandemic stuff. I don't do, I see a lot of psychics kind of in my feeds being like, okay, I don't read global events. I don't read this. And again, I think it's a fear of, not wanting to be wrong when something globally goes wrong and your predictions are off. It's all about, your self-worth as a psychic and being right or being wrong, which I think, again, is the core issue. We should get rid of that. Psychics can be wrong, but a lot of people don't understand that. So that's why a lot of psychics draw the line at like, I don't read global stuff. And so I kind of have adopted that because I've always looked at it as like territory. I don't know if I should go there because one, all my videos are public. Anyone can find these videos, and then somebody might pull it up a couple years later and be like, look, Lauren said this was going to happen and she effed up. She's totally wrong. And so, yeah, what's my point? My point is that I've kind of had that fear, but I have been pushed so much by my guides when stuff like this happens to talk about it. And I do feel like Instagram posts kind of talking about how, oh no, my internet is also super sucky tonight, which is another sign that my guides are like, internet, I think it's gonna speaking of, my computer is like, your connection's unstable. I'm just gonna keep powering through it. Get fiber internet. How about I do have fiber internet, but I'm super far away from it outdoors. Anyways, I'm going to keep powering through. I do not have the boundaries for tonight to deal with it. Okay. So, again, point being, you guys, if you're paying attention to what's going on, remember to set boundaries, yourself off of your phones, get yourself off of the TV as much as you possibly can. And I think it's really hard with wanting to feel like we're knowledgeable about everything that's going on. And I do see a lot of people shaming the internet for not staying informed 24/7. I saw somebody post about how they wanted to do just something mind-numbing because they couldn't handle all the information that was coming at them. And everyone in the comments was just like, oh my God, how dare you? You need to stay informed. You need to stay this and that. And you are being ignorant and you're not actually helping these people because you're ignoring it. And I think there's a difference between ignoring things, ignoring information, and helping other people, and taking time for yourself. And so I've noticed this dichotomy, and I just wanted to call it out and give people permission, if no one else is giving it to you, to take that time for yourself. It is okay to put your phone down for a few hours. It is okay to not look at the news for the whole entire day and only maybe look at for an hour to catch yourself up. That's how we maintain our energetic boundaries, especially with those of us who are empaths. So if you needed that permission granted. One of the things I like to do is I like to get outside. Today was a really warm day here. Me and my son went to the coffee shop. What else did we do? We went to the park. We just kind of hung out all day today. I kind of cleaned up our garden, and it was such a breath of fresh air. I don't think I touched my phone that whole entire time. And so that's the hard thing with social media, is that we have been trained that it's there. Information is at the touch of your fingertips. And so nobody's going to come knocking on your door and saying, hey, get off your phone, get off the news. So you kind of have to regulate that yourself. And so just a friendly reminder to do that. And I do think, again, that when you learn about boundaries with spirits, with, other people and your psychic development, it does cross over into other areas of your life. And even though we don't think about social media or news as being like a person or like a source of information, in a way it is, because we are getting information through that source. And so just like a negative spirit, sometimes you got to say, no, I'm not talking to you 24/7. So if you have to kind of like visualize it like that, if that helps, please do. Let's see. I don't think there was anything I wanted to say about that. I do feel like the majority of the people that follow me are probably pretty aware of that, but it was coming through pretty strong that some people still just like don't know when to stop. And again, this is me too. I'm very curious of what's going on. I'm very concerned. And so I'm constantly wanting to check too. It's very hard. And again, I think because we are more empathetic as intuitive people, it's just a lot harder for us to kind of stop ourselves and not feel everybody's feelings, All right. Hi, Karen. Let's see. Okay. And I have not put it in the links below yet, but I am going to put in the comments below a place that you can donate if you do want to help. If you're kind of just now getting exposed to all of this, I have found a few sources that I know are helping the people in Ukraine. So if you want to do that, feel free to do so. However, I do know that not everyone can contribute financially, which is why I wanted to give out some fun little tips that I have learned. And one of them is to hold space for the people. And basically, you can do this for any person, anything. I do this every time that I go on a flight. And this is to imagine a bubble of white light around a person, a country, an airplane, and just set the intention that in this bubble of white light is safety, purity, happiness, whatever you want to set that intention for. Tonight might be the perfect night for it because it is the new moon. And I do know that a lot of intuitive people out there are like working their magic. I know a lot of witches are like doing spells to help the people. And just know that although, it might not feel like it's working, I do think that at some subtle level it does. And I do think when enough people are concentrated on something like that, it can absolutely help. And I do think that the people of Ukraine can definitely feel it. I think that they're emboldened by all the people out there that are rooting for them. And I was listening to another person saying that we need to keep our vibration high and that it will help the others in collective. Yes. And I know, like, I understand both sides of the argument of like, oh, you can't just like pray it to get better. Like, and that's why, again, I wanted to provide these links that I will share in the comments below. So if you have the ability to financially donate, you absolutely can. I'm going to share one group that basically gets humanitarian aid to all of the people that get displaced. So it gets them like food, shelter, water, clothing, all that good stuff to all of the people that are fleeing. And I did find another amazing group that is taking care of the animals that were left behind as well. So I will share those as soon as the live is over. If you're watching replay, they should already be down there. And even if you have never taken Reiki before and you've seen some of my videos like on the energy ball that I've made, that's basically what Reiki is. You're basically feeling the energy between your hands. And you can do this right now as you're sitting and watching me. Just hold your hands next to each other for like the next 5 minutes. And you'll start to feel kind of an energy between them. It might be intense. It might be slow. It might kind of be pulsing. It'll have a size. Like eventually your hands will want to gravitate in or out. And basically this is Reiki energy. And then what you can do is you can imagine sending this energy to Ukraine and making it this big bubble around these people. Heck, even the people of Russia that need this help, that are not on the side of this, that do not want to be a part of this. This can be anybody, anywhere, anytime. You can do it for yourself. You can do it for a friend. Again, I always do it on my airplane because I get anxious about airplanes. And so I always, when I'm taking off, I set a bubble around our airplane and I say something of like, we're going to be good. Everything is safe. Everything works fine. And then let's see, the Reiki bubble I wanted to share. Oh, and if you don't feel like you can like feel it clairsentiently, another thing you could do is just meditate and imagine opening your heart and sending love and light from your heart towards that particular place, if that makes sense. And I feel like working with the energy of your heart absolutely is a super powerful thing. Let's see. You know what? And I'm being led to kind of pull the cards now, and then I'll kind of keep chatting about some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. How we can constantly be in worry help anyone. Yes, I totally agree. I mean, you deteriorating yourself, not sleeping because you're so stressed out about it, you're not going to be able to help anybody. If that's what you meant. Let's see. Okay, what was I saying? So, group reading for tonight. I asked, what do we need right now? And I was not at all surprised at the cards that I got. Time for a nap. Time for a nap. This is for those of you that have not taken up your to-do list first. And then if you need to take the rest of the day, take the rest of the day. Time for a nap. Definitely boundary setting around taking a break from information. It is allowed. You are allowed to do that. It will still be. You can come back to it. You can help in any way that you can help. But that does not mean you have to be consuming it 24/7. And then the second card that I got was very interesting. So I got exchanging gifts. And like the first thing that obviously popped into my head was like, if you can, absolutely support people by sending money, sending aid. But when we think about gifts, you know, gifts can be not just financial. You could share information, you could share like that's kind of what I was also getting with this card is like sharing information to help people, but also like even if it's not really involved in the Ukraine stuff and maybe you're not paying attention to it or interested, this is kind of about just giving to the world right now what you are good at. And my guides are literally telling me, they're in my ear right now. They're like, that's what you're doing right now. See? And so exchanging gifts, whatever you are good at, give that to the people around you. You know, even if it's just your family and you need to cook them a nice meal and you need to get people together, that for those people. If you're, I'm specifically hearing like if you're around kids a lot, like doing something a little bit extra special for them. Because right now we just need a little bit more hope. And there's something about showing others that you can give without expectation of return, that we're putting out more gratitude into the world. We're putting out abundance. We're putting out the ability to be more thankful. And when more gratitude and abundance goes around, the world is just a better place. And then the last card that I pulled, because apparently we're not doing enough, is breathe, relax, meditate. This to me has been super important over the last like week or so. Really make sure that you are taking that time. Like it's been very hard for me to get off my couch and kind of like get away from the TV and go take a bath or go meditate or go really connect with my guides. And usually when I do that, even if it's for like 2 minutes, I feel infinitely better. And I actually am going to come out with a new podcast soon. I have so many like podcast ideas lately, but one of them I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go kind of very in depth with spirit guides. So if you're not paying attention to my podcast, please do so. Because I've been really connecting with my spirit guides a lot more lately. And I wanted to talk about like taking that connection to the next level. Especially for those of us who feel like we're just not connected to our spirit guides, or maybe, you know, your spirit guides kind of come and go and you're just like, sometimes they're these guides, sometimes they look like this, and you just don't like really feel them. I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so that's kind of like what we need to do right now. And then I asked, what are kind of our biggest obstacles in this current moment? And even though I'm kind of reading this as like, how can we deal with what's going on in the world right now? Maybe this has more to do with like your personal life or what's going on that's of more of a stress to you. But out of the tarot, I pulled all three major arcana cards. So I got the Star, I got Death, and I got Justice. So as far as obstacles to us right now, one of the biggest obstacles is lack of hope, lack of optimism. That is really a struggle for us right now. And from our guides, that the biggest way that you can find hope and optimism is not going to be looking through your phones, looking out at stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, the people of Ukraine are incredibly like awe-inspiring and they give me so much hope. You see so many cool videos out there of them. But this is about finding that hope within yourself. And I know I keep preaching about routine a lot, but I'm starting to realize how much having a routine in the first place is important, but then adding a spiritual component to your routine. It's a great thing with my spiritual team. And because of that, I feel like I'm just more, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm less afraid, and I feel like it's not even control as much as I just feel like I have less fears because I feel like I'm connected to the larger picture. I hope that makes sense. So just know that the optimism is not going to come from somebody else. It's not going to come from the outside world. It has to come from you. And I'm hearing that routine and setting a spiritual practice is going to be the most helpful. But again, first, if you don't have a routine period, that should be the first on your list. And then the next obstacle to us, I think what I love about this card, I think what it's saying is that the obstacle is that we're seeing this as death, as an ending, but we're not seeing it as a rebirth. And that was kind of the thing that I was talking about just now. Like, we're in the eye of the storm. It's very easy to think everything is going downhill. But usually when this death card comes up, it's about exposing what's not working so that something new can be reborn. And I truly think that this is happening so that the world can progress. I've become a more optimistic person because of all of this, which I know seems very like backwards. But I do see the success that the whole world is having against, evil. We'll call it whatever you want, but, we are showing that evil will not prevail, that the majority of people are standing up for good. And that is what is lifting my heart so much during this situation, is seeing all the people rooting for all of the people helping these people. And we're basically saying, no, this is not the world that we want to live in. And I'm so grateful to the collective for that. I know it's very easy to see a few individuals and think that the whole world is like pessimistic and just going to lead us down the wrong path. But I do think that the collective is very much in tune with, no, we're not okay with this and we're going to stand up for this. And that's where we'll get into the indigo children. But I'm going to finish this reading first. But Jeffrey already took a 5-minute power nap. Nice. He's like, done. Bunny laying on the floor. That me crafting and listening. Ooh, what are you making? Sorry guys if I'm freezing. My internet is also just like sketchy tonight, which is another reason why I think I'm glad we weren't doing full readings. Hey Jordan, thanks for stopping in. Breathe resonates with me. Awesome. I need a nap, I need a massage, and I need to breathe. 3 major arcana cards. I really do think we're going through a shift. And like, at first I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to this Pluto return stuff. And it's like, bam. And now I'm like, okay, fine. I'll start looking more at astrology. And I should say that because that particular tool, that particular way of approaching my guides and the world seems to resonate with me. I don't think it's going to resonate with everyone, just like how some people like tarot and some people like pendulums. Okay, so last card, cherry blossoms. Oh my gosh, you probably have such pretty cherry blossoms right about now. Or maybe, let's see, you're more north, so they probably haven't happened yet. That was the most beautiful thing about going to Japan was the cherry blossoms. We went during cherry blossom season. Oh, so beautiful. Okay. Justice, the last obstacle. And immediately what I got with this is the obstacle is that we want this and we want to control it. We want justice to happen. And we feel like if we're not paying attention, if we're not doing the things that we're doing, then that justice won't be served. But I do feel like with this card coming out, it is saying that it is going to happen. The outcome, how we expect it to happen. Like, I am not predicting how any of this is going to end. Do not get me wrong. But at the same time, like, whatever is supposed to happen will happen. And that is what I love about this card coming out in this reading, is I actually am seeing it as a good sign of, like, they're going to get what's coming to them kind of thing. I do feel like because the whole entire collective is standing up to this and is in agreement with it. Like, I know I shouldn't talk about politics, but I'm just so inspired that Germany is helping Switzerland after 500 years of being neutral. 500 years is coming out and taking a stand. Like, this is big stuff, big stuff. And so I really do believe that this is justice happening. But sometimes this justice is not served on a beautiful, easy plate. Sometimes things have to be upended. Destruction has to happen. Death has to happen so that things could be reborn. So again, try to find the hope in this situation. If you can't find it in the situation itself, create it for yourself. Find what lights you up. Find what makes you happy. Set that routine. And then the last card I pulled, I said, I want a goddess out of this book to come in and help. I've never pulled this card, but we got Hecate. Hecate? I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. The in-between. And I was just like, bam, instant download. I know exactly what this means. We are in this in-between right now of things just being in upheaval. We're transitioning into this rebirth period, but because we're in the in-between, it feels like we never know when it's going to end. We don't know that outcome. It's scary. Let's see. Hecate, am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Hecate, and it's so funny that she's the Greek goddess of the in-between. Hecate, I also believe she is the goddess of witchcraft. Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? But she lives in the underworld with Hades. I think she kind of helps out in the underworld. She I feel like she makes like potions and poisons and stuff like that. I love justice. I'm going through a life shift and the world shift. Gasp to the cards. End of March, they should be here. Oh, I'm so excited. You have to share pictures. I definitely, coming back to Japan is high on my list. And I absolutely plan on doing anytime I go anywhere, you guys, I will let you know on my social media and I'll be like, hey, I'm going here to grab a coffee for an hour. Come see me. I have literally not traveled though since before the pandemic because I was pregnant. I was pregnant for 6 months before the pandemic. Pandemic started. Have not traveled. I've traveled to, that's a lie. I've traveled to see family and I did go to Disneyland. But when I go to Disneyland and Disney World, I'm not seeing anybody. I'm on a mission to ride every single ride. Drink all the drinks and eat all the foods. I'm a huge Disney fan. I've even got my Disney sweatshirt on tonight. Anyway, Hecate, sorry. In between. I'm just going to read this because she's telling me liminal spaces between what was and what will be, who you have been and who you are becoming. The Greek goddess of crossroads and the in-between, Hecate welcomes you to her domain and reminds you that neither place is your home. Interesting. You're being tasked to carefully choose the direction of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions. Now is not the time for hasty action or stubbornness, but a fierce self-inventory. Bless the past for what it has provided and released all attachments to the stories of what was. Now is the time to understand the responsibilities required of you as you move forward into a new version of yourself that is as yet unformed. Who do you want to become? What kind of life are you prepared to live? And how will you wisely yield your power to co-create a new world beneficial for others, not just yourself? You have the magic of Hecate pulsing through you and calling you to answer. Say yes and step into the unknown to discover what is not yet manifest. As soon as you do, the goddess Hecate, why do I always want to say Hecate? Hecate, we're stubborn. We're trying to let go of like what's happened in the past and just focus on the present. And let's see. And it's almost like this call. It says again, who do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to create? Specifically, how will you wisely yield your power to co-create a new world beneficial for others? Like, I feel like that's really calling out what's going on right now. And I feel like we are all in this call to action moment of here's a test, world. Here's a test. And we kind of experience this on like daily levels, right? With ourselves. Here's the test. Go down the dark side, or you're going to become a Jedi and go down the light side. I really feel like that's what's happening right now. And I feel so inspired because I feel like so many people are choosing the better option. We are choosing the life that we want, and we are saying no more to all of this negativity. And I will say, like, at the same time, like, we are having some amazing things happening with kind of wrapping up in a lot of ways. And I don't mean to say that in a way that it's gone forever. It will always be with us. You will always have to kind of get vaccinated and boosted. But like, I've been seeing so many stories of ICU units finally closing down because they have not had patients in weeks. And so there's all these actual successes happening in that realm, but we're just not paying attention to it because of all this other stuff going on. So I'm sharing this. I know I'm being a little bit more political than I normally am, but I'm hoping that you guys can find those little tidbits of hope as well. I'm just gonna, I'm doing bad at the chat. Hello, everyone that's jumping in, that's new. I'm just chatting. She's similar to Isis, but Babylonian Titan. Well, and why I laugh too is that I have been super, super diving deep into the realm of Greek mythology. That's kind of one of the ways I've been distracting myself. I've got all these Greek mythology books. I've been watching YouTube videos. I've been watching some of the old movies out there. And I'm realizing how many of my guides are actually like similar to some of these like people that I've been learning about. So it's part of, again, that podcast that I'm going to chat about. If you guys have any like Greek stuff that you absolutely love, pass it my way. But yeah, Hecate is also just the goddess of witchcraft. She's a really cool goddess for sure. Maybe your guides are telling you how to pronounce her name. Yeah, because I've always like read it as Hecate, but my brain thinks that I'm thinking of a different like guide though, unless I'm not. I have no idea. This is so good. Thank you. All right, so that was kind of the group reading that I had for you. I'm just checking my notes here. Okay, and then the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was just the indigo children. And I had to text my mother-in-law about this because I completely forgot about the indigo children and what that name was. So bit of background, if you haven't ever heard of the indigo children, I thought it was the rainbow children, and I was like, that's not right, because rainbow children is usually like when you've lost children like in childbirth, or just had a miscarriage and then you have another child. That's called a rainbow child. But I knew it wasn't that, but I couldn't remember. Texting my mother-in-law and she's like, oh yeah, this. I'm like, oh, thank you. Okay. And I realized why I haven't heard about it or forgot about it for so long is basically because Doreen Virtue kind of took it and made it her thing. And now that Doreen Virtue is gone out of this realm, that made it sound like she died, but she didn't. Out of the metaphysical realm, she's like hardcore Christian now, which great for her. but not a fan of how she basically calls all metaphysical people, like, she hates on them now, which I'm just like, all right, do you have no empathy for them? But basically, there's no official studies around this. This is not based on any even generational thing. It was literally that this woman who was a psychic started in the 70s to see babies being born with indigo auras. That's like, and apparently there were so many kids that were starting to be born that had indigo auras, and that was like an abnormal thing. Normally she saw babies and people with different color auras, which if you guys have watched my aura video, I'm even rolling my eyes at it because again, colors mean different things to different people. But we have to give her some credit because she had a color system set up. And if she's seeing something new and something different, awesome. And basically, indigo children were believed to come in. I don't know if it was the same woman, but the idea here was that these indigo children were here to change the world. They were here to expose the problems so that they could be fixed. And this is also very in alignment with Aquarius. What's that dang song? The Age of Aquarius, which we are currently in. It is a period of like 2000, or no, we might have just ended it. I can't, somebody call me out on that if I'm wrong. But it's like a 2,000-year period where we're in the Age of Aquarius. I don't quite know what that means, but the point here is that with Aquarius, it's all about humanity. It's about the global picture. It's about fixing things that are wrong. And so I feel like there's been a lot of that energy lately. And it makes sense. Like, not even lately, but like even since the 60s, 70s, we saw this energy. And basically these people are here on this earth, whether you call them indigo children, whether it's the Age of Aquarius, whether it's you think that it's just the millennials, if you think it's Gen X or the Gen Zs, whoever, whatever you think it is, I do kind of agree with this feeling of exposed because we're here to fix them. And I don't know how many of you follow me on Instagram, but like forever ago, I shared an excerpt from Rebecca something. Oh, I don't actually have her books. But she wrote Letters to a Star Seed and Light is the New Black. And she wrote about how she knew before she came into this life of people, they were given soul missions, and their soul missions were to come here and to fix things on Earth. Whether or not you believe in that, I think is besides the point, and it's okay if you don't, but I do feel this collective energy. Personally, I feel like it's kind of the millennial and Gen Z generation. Again, I do feel like there are people sprinkled in older generations that probably heavily influenced us, but I do feel like we are kind of coming in and saying, I think I saw a funny quote, something along the lines of like, millennials were the ones to come in and point it out, and Gen Zs are going to be the ones to come in and destroy everything. Like take the ball and run with it. Again, this is all my personal opinions, but again, I'm just hoping that it gives you some hope. Because I know with everything that has happened in the last very negative, very doom and gloom, but this is how I perceive it, and I really see it as I think that, again, like the best symbolic representation I can give of this is the Tower card in tarot. It's that the foundation didn't work, but we don't just, build on top of that foundation, on top of that tower. We have to completely take it down for it to work. And with taking it down comes destruction, and that destruction is not always fun and pretty. And I think that's kind of where we've been at the last couple of years. And so, yeah, just throwing out the idea of indigo children. I kind of blend it a little bit with the Age of Aquarius. I blend it a little bit with like just the millennial generation and how we were raised. Yeah, I didn't think about how I wanted to end this. I will look at the comments. I think that was all I had to say. I'm pretty sure there are indigo, crystal, and rainbow. I'm sure somebody has since taken it and made like a whole book. You are a mystical Christologist and psychic. Awesome. awesome. And don't get me wrong, I am fully in support of people that, celebrate any religion and use their psychic abilities. I was only calling out Doreen Virtue because she basically went and studied Christianity and then basically said, everyone that is psychic is going to hell. I'm like, can we not have both? I mean, you've been there. Rebecca Campbell, thank you. Mine would be purple if there even is a purple one. I think indigo is like a shade of purple. Isn't it like a more purpley blue? Awesome. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing this because of my guides, and I feel like very, what's the word I'm feeling? I feel very embarrassed to do these kinds of things because I feel like, who am I to come in here and share my opinions on things? People should be able to form their own opinions with or without my help. I try really hard to kind of stay out of belief in religion. And that's something else I'm going to talk about in my guides podcast of how on my channel, a lot of people, and even during readings, a lot of people, they want me to tell them what to believe. They'll be like, well, who's my guides? Who's this? And what should I believe? And it's kind of almost like, I'm not the one to tell you what to believe, what religion you should have. Not that people are asking me what religion that they be in, but at the same time, some people kind of walk into that territory. And it's almost like, as a psychic, I can give you the tools of how to get there, but at the same time, you have to form that relationship with your guides in the universe. I can't hold your hand the whole way through your spiritual journey, if that makes sense. That's individual to all of us. And so a lot of the things I teach on my channel are more about the psychic development. I just teach you the how. How can you? But I think sometimes people assume that I'm both, that I teach you how to do it and who to believe in. And I try very hard to kind of draw that line of I'll teach you how, but you take it with whatever religion you want. Insert your beliefs here is what I always say. And so that's why I always get a little worried, because I don't want people to ever think that I'm pushing my beliefs on them at all. So please know that that is not what I'm here to do. And anytime that I do start to bring my beliefs into this situation, it's only because I'm feeling very strongly led to. And I think that is because some people probably do have the same beliefs as me. But again, I try to keep that more on the podcast as of now. It's your practice spirit. I have no idea what they're talking about. Okay. Awesome, guys. I'm feeling like they wanted me to pull one more card. Any other thing we need to know for tonight? Again, guys, sorry I'm not doing readings, but I just started so late and I need to make sure I get sleep. And I'm just trying to conserve my energy again for the private readings that I have for this week. We need to be flexible. Okay. I feel like this is just a repeat of all the messages I've been giving. They're just beating us over the head with it. 10 of Swords. And again, if you know this isn't you and you're like, I'm great with my boundaries, I'm able to process this and not get overwhelmed by it, awesome. The 10 of Swords is about, let's see, 10 of Swords is about something being done with, especially mentally. We have been mentally exhausting something. And maybe it's our focus, on what's going on. Maybe it's something else in your life. But this is just you've beat the dead horse. It's done. There's nothing more that you can do. But we're still trying to come up for air. We're still trying to fight back. And so to me, this is more just the energy of surrendering a little bit to it and saying, I'm not going to keep exposing myself to the hurt. I'm going to start taking care of myself. And I think that's where our flexibility needs to come in and understand, specifically what I'm hearing is that we're trying to do things like we would every other week. And it is okay if you need to do less, if you need to take less off your plate. and prioritizing a little bit more of your self-care than normal. Because what's going on is a little bit more to handle. That's kind of what I've been doing. I've just been doing not as much work every day, and I've been taking a little bit more time at the end of every night to kind of like insert my spiritual practice. Awesome, you guys. I know I said this was going to be quick, but apparently I've talked for an hour straight. Goodness, sorry. Makes me realize why my live nights go so long. I just blab too much. Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will be on 2 weeks from now, and my schedule of when I'm going to be live is always right. So if you're ever curious when that's going to happen, you can do so there. But yeah, if I'm a little silent on social media, it's just because I'm taking care of myself. But don't worry, I'm going to be back. I've got videos still coming every single week. This video is all the different types of psychics that are out there. So whether you want to become one or you're trying to find one, I kind of covered like every single one that was out there, what they do, how they do it. And like if you're interested in studying it, like where I recommend studying that specific thing. And the next week we are going to have another pick a card reading. I only do pick a card readings once every 8 weeks. And I know this because I always plan my videos in groups of 8. And so this is like the end of my last filming cycle. I have a pick a card reading next week, and then we're starting with a whole new group of videos that I filmed. Not like you guys would ever know. They're all just continuously new videos to you guys. I am going to be introducing memberships here soon. It is on my plate to kind of officially figure those out. And I guess while you guys are live, or while we are live, I'll just run it by you really quick. Here's my idea. First tier, 99¢. We already have that. You guys are here. You get live night free readings. And then let's see. I was thinking that the next tier would actually be, and I was thinking that might be like at a $3 tier. Oh, and I'm going to freeze again. But I was originally only thinking that you would see it one video out of a month at a time. But then I started to think about it, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why shouldn't they see it all like maybe a day earlier? But the point is that one of my videos you got to see a whole month ahead of everybody else. So I don't know. Dollar tier 5 nights where sometimes we actually get on and do live nights like these that are private, or Zoom nights. Maybe we switch it up. Like every other one is like a Zoom night. So let me know. That's kind of like the order I was thinking in. It froze. Yeah, bad internet tonight. Basically, I'm just running my membership idea by you guys. If you're watching replay, like feel free to throw in your comment. I was thinking $1 gets you kind of into our membership. You're just supporting me every month. You get cool emojis in the chat. You get a free reading. Thinking like the $2.99 tier was early access to videos, and then the $4.99 tier, $5, got you access to private live nights. And I do think I will add a $10 tier as well. I just don't know what that is. And maybe that's that free reading every month or something. It's the Russians, JK. It might be that my husband is also on the internet inside. I don't know. I will reboot my router though. Oh, alrighty, you guys. I just want to give it a few more seconds in case anyone was typing their response to my memberships. I know some of you guys probably don't care and are not interested, but it's helpful when I can get your guys' feedback, because then I go think about it some more. And that was the whole issue with my memberships the first time, is I just made them, didn't think about them, and then I got into them and I was like, wow, this is really exhausting. I need to make this make more sense. But it seems like what everyone wants most is like the private live nights. So having those first, or as kind of the higher tier, makes more sense. Because I know some people just want my videos, and I don't feel like that should be as much money just to see a video earlier. All right, you guys. Well, if I cut you off, feel free to leave me a comment below. I'm going to cut this stream off and then go ahead and put those links in the description down below. Sorry you guys are seeing this so rough. Maybe you can watch it replay. I'll just get off so that you can do that. All right. See you all in a couple weeks. All right. Bye. Everyone's like, sorry.